guys, it's Lindsay and welcome to my weekend writing vlog. I feel like I'm screwing myself over by starting this vlog with makeup on because like there's gonna be a day where I'm not wearing it. You guys are gonna be like, who is that gremlin? So it has been a hot minute since I updated you guys on the writing project and everything that's happening with that. Basically, what has been happening is that my author mentor match mentor has completed my manuscript. She read the whole thing and she has sent me back an edit letter. I've had a few days to digest and figure out what I was going to do, a plan of action, if you will. And at the same time, I have 3 betas slash CPs that are reading the book right now and giving me feedback, which has been an absolute lifesaver. They are incredible. But basically, I'm just in this really weird situation right now where my betas are all about halfway through the novel and they're leaving really great feedback, and I know there are some things already that I'm gonna have to work on to make better once they're done. But it's gonna be like another probably 3 weeks until they're finished with the book, maybe 2. And I don't know what to do. I kind of want to start this piece of revision that my original critique partner mentioned, and then a couple of these new betas are critique partners have mentioned as well. I want to get started on that because it really affects the first 10 chapters more than anything else. But at the same time, I feel like I shouldn't touch it at all until they're completely done. That way I can just incorporate all the feedback in one massive draft. On one hand, I want to do the revisions. On one hand, I want to wait. On another hand, I want to start my middle grade novel. But then at the same time, I don't want to start my middle grade novel only to pull myself out of it like a week later. Anyways, the goal of this writing vlog is to have some accountability so I can start working and doing something, because I feel like for the past 2 weeks, the only thing that I've been doing is doing beta and CP reading for other people, and I feel terrible. I feel terrible about myself. I feel so unproductive and worthless, and I need to work on a book. Guys, so I thought I would go ahead and tell you what was in my edit letter from my mentor for author mentor match, because I realized I never did that. So the biggest thing that my mentor found, and also another thing all of my betas are catching up on, is that my world building is extremely lacking. And I will tell you exactly why that is. Because remember that 16K that I cut, it was all world building. It was all world building and description. So when I cut all that, I cut too much. The funny thing was, originally my critique partner was like, whoa girl, like this draft has way too much world building and description. You need to cut this down. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll cut it before I send it off to betas. I cut too much. The great thing about this being the biggest issue that she pointed out though was it's a super easy fix because I have all of the world building. It's just in an earlier draft. So all I have to do is go back and weasel it through. There were also a few other things that she mentioned, much smaller things. I would just introduce a character and I wouldn't tell you who that character is until their dialogue or their scene was finished, which I didn't even think was like a problem, of course, because, you know, I know who they are. I didn't think that, you know, I just assumed everyone else knows exactly everything about that character, so why should I have to tell you? But I do this a lot, and also my critique partners were pointing this out. They're like, we don't know who this person is until the end of the scene. It'd be lovely if you told us. So I'm going back through and I'm gonna do that. There were a couple other things in here. There were a few pieces of language that she suggested I take out of the novel just because the book is inspired by the Iceni or the Celtic tribes, you know, back in the day. And because they are tribes, a lot of the language can be like synonymous with American First Nations Native American, and we just want to make sure that I'm not coding my mermaids or my Marrows as Native American, because especially with what they're doing, that can be very harmful, as the Marrows are like, you know, bloodthirsty people that are kidnapping other people. Like, there's a lot of sensitivities there with like Native Americans being portrayed as people doing that, and of course we don't want that. So there was just a few pieces of language that she recommended that I take out of the book, which I have done, just so we don't conflate the two, which is definitely something I don't want to do. I do not want to upset or like hurt anyone. That's definitely not my intention. And then the last thing that she mentioned was Miera's narration style. Now this is something that I think is interesting and I think we can talk about, because this is another part of mentorship or getting feedback that maybe people don't discuss as much, but we can talk about it, right? It's just us here. My mentor mentioned in her edit letter that she was not a fan of my narration style and not a fan of particularly Miera's voice. She found that my main character, who is very analytical. She likes to make lists, and she likes to think about things in a very evidence-based, analytical way. And she found that that actually distanced her from the character, and she had a hard time relating. And that's totally fine that she felt that way. I'm so glad that she had that, because, I mean, I want to know how people are relating to my character. I don't think they necessarily have to find her likable, but relatability is very important to me. So having that piece of feedback was really great, because when my betas are done, I can ask them the same thing. I can ask them, you know, did you find her voice, did you think that her voice made her unrelatable? Do you feel this and this and this way about her character as a whole, and things like that. So I can kind of compare and make decisions based on like the overall feedback and not just one piece of feedback. Because the one compliment that I have been getting from everyone who's read the book so far, and even the people that aren't done with the book, is that they love the narration style, they love Miera's voice, and their favorite part of the book is just how relatable Miera is in general. That kind of just goes to show how different everyone's opinion is on your book, and you're gonna have people that love certain things and hate other things, just because everyone's different and everyone brings different experiences to your book when they sit down to read. I'm not saying that she's wrong. I'm not saying she's like, you know, that I would never incorporate this ever. It's just, I think it's kind of safer with a big issue like this to wait and see what everyone else says. So that's what I'm doing, and I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I think that there's an idea that when someone gives you feedback, you 100% have to do it no matter what. And I think that's actually a little bit dangerous sometimes. I think it's your book and you need to make the executive decisions, and sometimes a good consensus is a good thing to follow. If a lot of people are flagging the same thing, like a lot of people are flagging my world building, a lot of people are flagging this next issue that I really need to work on, then maybe you really do need to fix it, and that's why I'm incorporating those things. But other issues, maybe not. Maybe that's just a piece of your judgment that you have to make. So the other piece of feedback, aside from this edit letter, because this edit letter actually didn't even mention this problem, it's all of my critique partners and betas that are mentioning this problem, is my beautiful problem child, Irie, is what I'm calling him. Irie is my main character's best friend. He is the platonic, very intense relationship that they have in my book. Purely platonic, but like very intense. So when I first gave this book to my original critique partner, she was like, oh wow, these are great characters, but their relationship is kind of weird. Like, it just starts out of nowhere with no warning, and I'm not sure if that works. So I was like, oh yeah, I think you're right. Like, let me go through and do a revision. So I did a revision before I sent it off to Author Mentor Match. And now I've got beta readers coming back in, and they're like, this relationship still feels a little bit off. The problem is they aren't really becoming friends until chapter 10, and it's like super intense. Like, we were never friends before, we never really talked, and then we're like BFFs for life at chapter 10, and it's just like still not working, and people are calling me out on it. So I'm gonna have to go back through again, and I think I'm gonna have to change a lot. So one of my critique partners actually gave me some really good feedback. That was, I could actually weasel Irie in the first chapter and exchange him out for another character that kind of dies anyway, and isn't very important, but that would give me the opportunity to start their relationship from like page 1 basically. And I think that that was a brilliant idea. I don't know if it's gonna work. I'm gonna have to go through and play with it a little bit and outline, but it might make their relationship finally, for like the 3rd time, work out the way it should. So what I actually think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through my first 10 chapters, which is where the relationship needs to be taking place and is not taking place. And I'm just gonna go through and highlight every part that deals with the character that I might switch him out for, or deals with him in any way, so that I can kind of get an idea of where I need to make these revisions before I even start making them. Just so I know exactly how much work this is going to take, and I can kind of get an idea, start brainstorming, and get the ball rolling. Hey guys, so I'm taking a break right now and I am getting our dinner prepped. I'm making crock pot chicken gnocchi tonight. I feel so fancy. I never cook. Like, look at that. Doesn't that look delicious? I've made it a couple times before and it's amazing. It's just like Olive Gardens if you've ever had theirs.
This is Writing Excuses. How weird is too weird? Here with me, we reveal what did and what didn't.
So I have all of the ingredients cooking up in here right now. And then later on, you have to add cornstarch and your evaporated milk. I used to use actual like Italian gnocchi, but it's really expensive. And I found out that just regular biscuits taste the exact same. This soup is bomb. It is so good. Now I'm about to destroy it with pepper because like, what's the point of life if there's no pepper in it? I thought I'd also just take a moment to show you guys what I'm reading, and I actually just finished the Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Toolkay. I finished this last night. This is also my first like physical library book for the year, and I'm super excited because one of my New Year's resolutions was to read more physical library books. So check on that. And I've also started my e-arc of House of Salt and Sorrows, and guys, I am so excited and I am loving this so much. I'm only on chapter 4, but it is incredible. It is like the perfect mix of like cutesy Disney princess and like death and murder and like gross stuff. And I love it, and it works so well. And actually the mythology at the very beginning really reminds me of what I have in the beginning of my book, and I'm like, ooh, I could use this as a comp title and sound really fancy. Okay guys, so I'm back with an update. I have been working on this for, I don't even know how long, to be honest. It was a little bit more extensive than I thought it would be, but yeah, I'm just going through and highlighting the sections that had to do with the IRE change. So let me just show you. Luckily, the issue was very well contained. Like, it's just quite a few areas in a few chapters that are going to be affected by this. There were many routes that I could have taken to fix this. I think there were like 2 or 3 that I could have taken, and I'm going to try this one first. It's the least intensive of all of the ways that I could go about this revision. So I want to try that first, send it to my critique partner, see if it works, and if it does, then great. Then I don't have to do like a full rewrite of my first, 10 chapters, because who would want to do that? But I think what this is going to take is I'm going to be adding a scene to my 5th chapter, which my 5th chapter is very small anyways. It's only 6 pages, so I have some wiggle room in there. And then there will be ripple effects from what I do in chapter 5 and 6 and 7, so a good majority of that will need to be tampered with. I don't know if it's going to be like a full rewrite. I don't think so. I think it's just going to be like adding in and changing a few things. But it is going to be quite a bit of work in those 2 chapters. And then very small amounts of change in 8, 9, and 10, and a few changes in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So hopefully this works. Cross your fingers, guys. I really want this to work. So anyways, I think I'm gonna go ahead and close out this writing vlog here. I feel a lot better. I was really stressed about this issue. I didn't know how I was gonna tackle it. But hopefully I will update you guys soon in another writing vlog and let you know how it goes. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to tell me how your writing projects are going down in the comments below. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!